Hi, I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Courtney, and this is Caffeinated Crimes.
I feel like I almost don't even know how to record right now because it's been a month since we recorded,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. But we
Yeah.
did record 3 episodes in one night the last time we recorded. So that was a
We
marathon session.
we burnt ourselves out a little bit. We're like, we need a break.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I also kind of like the 2 weeks ahead versus,
Yes.
so we were like, okay, and we were busy that week that we were
Yeah.
supposed to record anyway, so it worked out. But I do think we needed a good month-long break after that marathon.
Yeah, that it was literally past midnight. I mean,
Yeah.
first time
And
we've
we
ever
had
done
started at
that.
8:30, so it was like a 4-hour recording
Yes.
session. I
I don't know.
remember because Kevin was out of town and I texted him and I was like, I just got done recording. And he was like, what? It's midnight.
I don't know
Jacqueline's
how.
still up.
Right. He's like, was that really her? Was that someone else? I don't know how our voices lasted that long because that is a lot.
That's true. And I don't remember hearing any like vocal fry or
Yeah.
like anything. I mean, I do remember us on that last episode. We're kind of fumbling over our words a bit. So that was
Yeah.
probably a hefty edit episode, but
Yeah.
we kept it together for the most part.
I'm sure if there was some vocal fry somewhere out there, someone out there, probably on YouTube, will let us know about it. So
Probably.
we'll hear about
We
that
did
soon.
also get an Instagram message using our code word from a couple episodes back
Oh,
where we're
how
like, if you're still
fun.
here, message us.
Yeah.
We actually got it. I
Oh,
don't
nice.
remember
Thank
exactly what
you.
episode that was, but she sent it and then was like, I'm a little bit behind.
Girl, me too. I'm behind on all my podcasts. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of marathons, did you see where there was like an error in the Knoxville Marathon and they ran an extra
Hmm.
half mile? Like I would be so
And they
pissed.
won't adjust anyone's times.
They won't. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
That's
so because
ridiculous.
I was talking to Kevin about it yesterday when we were driving, and he was like, "Oh, that sucks." And I was like, "Yeah, imagine running 26 point. You think you're running 26.2,
Yeah,
but you're running 26.7." And I was like, "And I'm pretty sure also like people can use this for qualifying for like other
exactly.
races." And he
Yes.
was like, "So will they like adjust the time?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then I saw an article that was like they cannot adjust anyone's times. So
Oh
if
my
you
gosh.
like missed your time because you ran
Yeah.
an extra like half mile, too bad.
And the thing was like there were a few people who like went the right way because like the car was like, showing people where to go. And so a few people who were like right in the front of the race went the right way, but then I guess they didn't have volunteers. I think they were supposed to have a volunteer at that like intersection and they didn't. So other people, anyone who was not in that first group went a different way. So a few people
Yeah.
got the right time and went the right distance and then everyone else did not. And so it's like, yeah, if you're trying to qualify or just even like have your own like PR and you're like, "Oh, I was aiming for this and
Hmm.
now like you don't get that back." Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Sounds brutal.
Yeah, I would be very mad.
Yeah. Because your legs are already dead. And then you're
Exactly.
like, wait.
You're like, I thought I was done, and then you got to keep going. Like the last
Yeah.
like couple miles are like the hardest part anyway, and then you're like, just kidding. Here's the especially because if you're like watching your watch and thinking, okay, I'm right here, like I should be at the finish line, and then you just have to
Hmm.
keep going for another half mile, and
And the
then have your
Knoxville
time not
Marathon
count.
is pretty rough because some of the last miles are down by where we live, but
Hmm.
you have to run back up that hill. Like mile
Yeah.
25 is like running up that hill to get back
Hmm.
to like Gay Street. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, just being like up that hill and then you're also having to add, oof.
Yeah. Which I mean, just cruel and unusual punishment to have a hill at the end of a
I also saw
marathon.
that guy. I didn't see the full clip, but I saw the video of the guy who was talking about running it, and he was like, "Yeah, on mile 17, I took a shit or something," and it was I don't remember. It was something where it was like kind of gross, where they were like, "He did what?" Like he was just like, I don't know, throwing it to the side or something. I don't know, like
I
squatting
mean,
down.
I feel like elite runners, you're just like, yeah, I'm not losing time for that, so that's what's gonna happen. Like,
And also, if you're not at an area with like a porta potty, like
yeah.
sometimes you
And
gotta do what you gotta do.
but too, like if there's porta potties, like there are lines. Like you have to like wait in
That's
line.
true
And
too.
especially if you're trying to like meet a time and you're like, sorry, I just gotta
I gotta go.
it's yeah, can be a very gross sport.
Yeah. Brutal, but yeah, I'd have been
Yeah,
pissed.
same, same. We do have a couple of updates before we get into today's episode. I
Yes.
I do.
So
No, you do. Wait. No,
I
you
do
go
the
first.
first
Sorry.
one. You
I'll stop
did
talking.
a good transition for us.
We're literally going in order and I still got myself confused. Whoopsie.
Um, so one of our updates is that DNA testing has linked another victim to Ted Bundy. So it connected the death of 17-year-old Laura Ann Amy. She went missing on Halloween night in 1974 in Utah after she left a party alone to go to a convenience store. And a month later, her body was found on the side of the road, beaten and without clothing. Officials have long suspected that Ted Bundy was responsible because he had lived in like Salt Lake City at that time. They all kind of believed he was responsible. They just had nothing definitively to tie it to him, but now they do have the confirmation from the DNA testing. And if you want a hella throwback, we covered Ted Bundy in episodes 34 and 35.
That is crazy. Crazy.
34 and 35 is insane. But yeah, so another victim was linked, and it just makes you think like, for how long will we keep linking victims? Because this was what, 50 years ago?
Yeah.
And they're 40, 50 years ago, and they're linking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Definitely. And I feel like too, I mean, Bundy wasn't one like Gary Ridgway who is seeking out people who like wouldn't be noticed as
hmm
missing. And like Bundy was not doing that. Like he was just, you
anyone,
know,
yeah.
and
Young women. And that was
yes.
from like, I mean, his youngest victim was what, like 11, 12? She was
Yeah.
really young.
Yeah, I think she was 12, I think. But it makes me wonder too, like, did he also target other like women who were not reported missing? And so who knows how many
True.
more could be out there that we've just never heard
hmm
about because he was just so
Out there.
horrific. Like I don't even know
Yeah.
another word to describe him. Yeah. Also, speaking of episodes that we have covered in the past, so episodes 78 and 79, which also feels very early, we covered Raynella Leith, who was accused of killing two of her husbands. She was convicted, and then there was a mistrial, so then she was acquitted. I guess you're not technically acquitted if it's a mistrial, but her conviction was like overturned. But she did die in her home at the age of 77 like 2 weekends ago as of this recording. So just wanted to share an update on that. I guess she had been in poor health. They said like no foul play was suspected or anything.
Yeah. I mean, 77, that's,
Yeah.
you know, a bit older. So,
Hmm.
yes, and our final is not so much an update, but a shout out because we have a new Patreon member and we've not had one of
Yes.
these in so long and we need them. We need you to sign up for patreon.com/caffeinated crimes. I think that Amy Bradley two-parter got her. Teresa, let
Mm.
us know if we're right. Did it get you? Did you want those two parts at the same time? But
Could not wait another
Teresa,
2 weeks to listen to the next one.
Teresa is our new Patreon. So thank you so much for joining. We're so happy to have you here. We hope you stick around. And if you want to
Yes.
be like Teresa and get a shout out on this lovely little podcast, please go sign up again, patreon.com/caffeinated crimes.
Yes. Thank you, Teresa. We're so happy to have you here. All right. So the sources for this episode, the first one is a major one. I highly recommend it. There's a lot of information that I got from this source, and it was also just a very well done article. So I just wanted to make sure and give this a special shout out at the beginning. But it was an article from the New Yorker called "The Throwaways" by Sarah Stillman. I also used a Seattle Times article, a Fox Detroit article, courthousenews.com, and we also used a WCTV article. So it is common for police departments to utilize citizens as confidential informants to gather information about a suspected crime or to make an arrest. So this is often done because confidential informants can be used in situations where it would not be legal for a police officer to be acting in the same capacity. And police departments can then get away with not paying undercover officers to do similar work. And by some estimates, up to 80% of all drug cases in the United States involve confidential informants, which is pretty wild.
That's a very high number.
Yeah, which it makes sense because, like, how else are you finding out about this when it's such a, like, I don't want to say a hidden thing, but it's not something that you're often, like,
hmm
advertising and it's, like, super out there. It's kind of this, like, underground, you know,
And I feel
network
like a
of
lot of
people.
times, like they kind of use it where they catch one person and they're like, look, we'll make
Yes.
you a deal if
Yep.
you keep doing what you've been doing
Mm-hmm.
and lead us to more people. So it's kind of
Exactly.
like
Yep.
they don't have to hire an undercover officer to like go and spend 3 years building a rapport with these
Mm-hmm.
people. Like you're like, hey, we got someone in the inside. Let's go.
Exactly. Yeah, like they already have that relationship. Like they don't know that this person has been arrested, so we're just going to use them. And yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. But what happens when confidential informants are sent into dangerous situations with little protections? Unfortunately, it does happen more than we would think. I was surprised by a lot of things that we learned in the research for this episode. So, in April of 2008, police in Tallahassee, Florida, arrived at the apartment of 23-year-old Rachel Hoffman to investigate a complaint of the smell of weed and suspicion that she was selling drugs. They asked her if she had any illegal substances in her home, and she said yes, and she did allow them inside to search. Don't do that. Not victim blaming, but don't do that.
Yeah.
Ask for an
Say,
attorney.
come back with a warrant.
Yes. Come back with a warrant. I'm going to get an attorney. Protect yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, not victim blaming in any capacity, just giving
Just
general
letting you
advice
know.
out here. Yes.
Yeah.
So, police did seize 5 ounces of weed and a few ecstasy and Valium pills that were hidden beneath her couch cushions. So, not a small amount of drugs, but not a massive amount of hard drugs. I mean, that's a lot of weed,
Hmm.
but it's
But I feel
weed.
like if you're someone who like smokes a lot of weed, like you usually have a lot of weed on you, you
That's
know?
true. Yeah. Yeah. So, Officer Ryan Pender told Rachel that she was facing serious prison time for felony charges, including possession of cannabis with intent to sell and maintaining a drug house, which feels like a stretch for a few pills and a lot of weed.
But even like 5 ounces of weed, it's not even like a pound of weed. That's like less than half a pound of weed.
Yeah.
Like you would sell to what? If you're selling an ounce to 5 people, it's not even that much. You can't even make that much money. It's not a drug house. You can't
Right?
even let more than 5 people in if
Yeah,
they're
you're like, nope,
buying an
that's it. I'm
ounce.
I'm at max capacity. You gotta turn around. So he did tell her that he might be able to reduce or even drop her charges if she provided substantial assistance to the city's narcotics team. So Rachel was likely scared because she was 23 years old in possession of sort of a small amount of drugs. I mean, again, 5 ounces of weed is a lot for just like one person, but it's not this huge, massive amount that we think of for
Yeah.
felony charges, you know?
Yeah. Like I
Um,
usually for like Tennessee felony charges is like 10 pounds or more of weed
yeah,
is like a
exactly.
felony
Yeah.
charge. Like
It's
this
yeah,
is 5 ounces.
yeah. And this also was not her first drug offense. So the year before, when she was a senior in college, she was pulled over for speeding, and police found almost an ounce of marijuana in her car. So not even a full ounce, less than an ounce. But she was ordered into a substance abuse program, which had regular mandated drug testing, and she did fail to report for one of her drug tests and spent 3 days in jail. But before Rachel's minor drug charges, she was an adventurous little girl who loved trying new things. As a child, she was a ballerina, a brownie in the Girl Scouts, an equestrian, and a Wiki Wachi Springs Little Mermaid contestant, which I've been to Wiki Wachi Springs, and it's just such a fun time. Anyway,
Where is that?
in Florida.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
a mermaid show. I think they have several different ones.
Oh.
I went to the one in Tampa, but they have it's like an aquarium, but they have like mermaids like acting out a show with like scuba gear and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
So
That's
it's really
cool.
cool. Yeah. So by the time she was 18, she could play the flute and the piano. She had gone skydiving and had hiked the Grand Canyon. She also earned a bachelor's degree in psychology, interned at a mental health institute, and traveled internationally. Rachel loved to cook and would prepare elaborate multi-course meals for her friends and deliver homemade soups to friends who were sick. She had big dreams and a lot of creative ideas. She wanted to apply to culinary school and find a way to combine counseling and cooking to reach troubled kids through like baking and cooking together versus traditional talk therapy. So she's trying to combine like her psychology degree and her desire to
Hmm.
go into counseling with like her love of cooking. Rachel was born to Margie Weiss and Irv Hoffman. Margie was a registered nurse and massage therapist, and Rachel seemed to inherit her adventurous and creative spirit. Irv was a mental health counselor and the child of Hungarian Czech Holocaust survivors. They were described as being very polar opposites as far as people. Like Margie was very just
Yeah.
like fun loving and like, I mean, she's a massage therapist. She was a registered nurse
Mm-hmm.
too, but just very like of the earth and,
Mm-hmm.
kind of hippie-ish. And then you have Irv who is like serious and like a counselor and has
Yeah.
like been through all of this trauma and just very different people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the couple did separate before Rachel was a year and a half old. So she grew up splitting time between both of her parents. Rachel really liked to have a good time. She was voted party animal of the senior class in high school. And her parents were a bit worried about her attending Florida State University, which is kind of known as a party school. But she did graduate with a bachelor's degree in psychology and had been admitted to a master's program in mental health counseling. So she's doing good. So Rachel would frequently smoke weed and she would sell small quantities to friends. Again, this is not a drug house, but she's got a little extra. She's sharing
Mm-hmm.
it around. Hey, pay me back for what I bought.
Yeah.
And this is how Rachel ended up finding herself agreeing to assist the police. She wanted to continue her education and she didn't want these drug charges to prevent her from pursuing her career goals. And she's like, I can get these drug charges removed or reduced if I cooperate. So Rachel became known as confidential informant number 1129 or CI Hoffman the day after her apartment was raided. So in legal terms, she was a cooperator, who is someone who agrees to help the police build cases against others in exchange for a promise of leniency in the criminal justice system. So Rachel first tried to set up another Florida State student who was a small-time campus dealer, but she felt guilty because she's like, I know this person and like I don't want to do this, like I don't like this. And she did
Mm-hmm.
quickly tell him like what she had done, and she's like, okay, stop before you do anything. I need to tell you what I did. He forgave her, and they decided they would work with the police together to find someone else to set up. So now they brought this other student in as well. And Rachel did promise to pay his overdue utility bill as an apology, which I thought was kind of funny. That she's just like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'll do this for you.
That would be me. I'd be like, I'm so sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Yep, I take it back. I take it back. So the police told Rachel that simply busting small weed dealers wouldn't be enough to lessen her charges, even though that's what she was charged with, but that they were looking for dealers selling large quantities of heroin, cocaine, crack, ecstasy, and guns. So the
Only
other,
one of which that she had in her possession, right?
exactly. Well,
The
the
ecstasy.
ecstasy.
She had
Yeah,
ecstasy
just
and
the
Valium.
ecstasy. Yep,
Like she didn't have heroin, cocaine,
exactly.
crack, and guns.
And she had like a few ecstasy pills. Like she was a party
Yeah.
girl. Like not, I mean, not trying to excuse like drug behavior, but she's not selling the ecstasy. She's
Yeah.
partying and has a little extra weed that she's selling to her
Yeah.
friends. So the other Florida State student told Rachel about a man named Dre that he had seen selling drugs at a car detailing shop near campus, and he thought Dre might have access to ecstasy, cocaine, and possibly more. So when he told her this, Rachel realized that she knew Dre because he had recently worked on her Volvo and he had joked with her like about the pungent marijuana smell inside her car. So Rachel took this information to police and they put a wire on her and sent her to Dre's shop where she asked his brother-in-law, Danilo Bradshaw, to buy a small stash of cocaine, 1,500 ecstasy pills, and a quote, small and pretty handgun. So this is a very unusually large request from this 23-year-old girl, right? Like this is
Who
going.
seemingly had never come to them asking for something. So like you don't go and
Mm-hmm.
be like, "Hey, you got some weed you can get me? Hey, do you have some cocaine?" You're just immediately like 1,500 ecstasy pills, please.
And a gun. Like,
And a gun.
yeah, like this is going to stand out.
Yeah.
So Rachel told them that she had a friend visiting from Miami, and that's why she needed so many drugs. And when they asked her why she needed a gun, she said, I'm a little Jewish girl, I need to be safe. So by early May, Rachel had a deal with Bradshaw and Dre, who was later identified as 25-year-old Andrea Green. So she was to bring $15,000 to Bradshaw's parents' house in a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of Tallahassee, and he would bring her the drugs and gun. So police arranged an operational and raid plan with more than a dozen local and federal agents. And on May 7th, 2008, the afternoon of the deal, Rachel went to police headquarters where Officer Pender placed a surveillance wire on her body and a recording device in her purse and gave her $15,000 in cash. So Green had reached out to Rachel and changed the meetup site from Bradshaw's parents' house to a nearby park called Forest Meadows. Rachel texted her boyfriend at 6:34 p.m. and said, I just got wired up. Wish me luck. I'm on my way. He texted back, good luck, baby. Call me and let me know what's up. I kind of like you, so be safe. Rachel responded and said, it's about to go down. So Rachel initially turned into the park too early because she was unfamiliar with this area, and Officer Pinder directed her on the phone to continue farther north and then enter the park. So Rachel began driving toward a plant nursery a mile and a half north, and then Pinder lost track of her. Other officers later reported that they thought someone had eyes on Rachel. At 6:46 p.m., Pinder is recorded saying to other officers, I lost her over the wire. He tried calling her cell phone and she didn't answer. She called him back a few minutes later and said, I followed them from the nursery. We're on Gardner. It looks like the deal is going to go here. It's a dead-end street. Pinder later said that he told Rachel to turn around and not follow them, but the phone then cut off, and Pinder said he didn't receive a response from Rachel, which he said meant, quote, either she hung up on me or we lost the signal. And again, this is after they lost the wire signal, and so he's trying to reach her via cell phone.
Yeah.
So officers began searching the area, trying to find Rachel's Volvo and Gardner Road. A DEA plane circled overhead, but the agents weren't able to see because of the dense tree cover in the park. Police finally arrived at the dead end Rachel had mentioned, but she wasn't there. Instead, they found a spent .25 caliber round, 2 live ammunition rounds, 6 cigarette butts, and a single black flip-flop, which Rachel had been wearing the day of the deal. They went to Rachel's boyfriend's house and asked him if Rachel was inside. They thought she might have run off with the $15,000, but her boyfriend told them he hadn't seen or heard from Rachel. So they're like, oh, she just has all this money. She took off with the money and not, oh, maybe something happened to her.
My thing is, and I know we'll get into it, but you lose connection with this person who's going to do something dangerous. You don't just immediately like rush in and you're like, they've at least set up the deal. We can get something. Like, I don't know.
I guess not.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah.
But
You would think. And two, the fact that like she's in this unfamiliar place and they're kind of changing where she's going. Of course she's going to follow them because it's suspicious if she says no, never mind. Like she's doing what she thinks she has to do in this situation.
yeah.
So around 2:30 in the morning on May 8th, Rachel's mom, Margie, received a call from the police saying her daughter was missing. They also called her dad, Irv, and asked him if he had heard from Rachel or knew her whereabouts. Later that morning, the Tallahassee Police Department called both of them again and asked them to come to Tallahassee, but they didn't tell them anything about her being part of a confidential informant operation. And when they arrived at the headquarters of the Tallahassee Police Department, Margie thought it was odd that they took them to the narcotics department to talk and not the missing persons unit. Because at this point, they just think she disappeared like from her apartment or something. Like she's missing, not she's missing while acting on behalf of the police.
Yeah.
So a victim's advocate spoke to Rachel's parents and told them that Rachel might not be found alive. Then Police Chief Dennis Jones spoke with Rachel's parents and told them an aggressive search for Rachel was underway and they should go to Rachel's apartment and wait for updates. Which also, to go back to them losing her in the park, I just want to reiterate that there were dozens of police officers nearby. What do you mean you lost her? There are dozens of you around. There's a plane overhead watching this girl, supposedly, and you just lose her.
Also, a plane overhead and you think you're not being suspicious?
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, we all know what the police helicopters look like. I can hear it and I'm like, oh, that's a police helicopter. Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
So Margie and Irv waited at Rachel's apartment and only learned after turning on the TV and seeing the news that Rachel had, quote, provided assistance during a police operation the previous day and that officials suspected foul play in her disappearance. So they were not told this at the police department. They heard this on the news. According to a departmental press release, police were looking for 2 suspects, Andrea Green and Danilo Bradshaw. The news reported that Rachel's Volvo had been found in Perry, parked beneath a tree outside a welding shop. Her car was empty and her phone was discovered by a roadside. The next morning, Margie and her husband, Mike Wise, drove down the road for bagels and coffee just after dawn, and Irv called Margie and told her that she needed to come back to the apartment. When they got back, Margie learned that Rachel's body had been found in a dry creek bed near Cabbage Grove Road in Perry. So Andrea Green and Danilo Bradshaw had been apprehended and had led police to the site of Rachel's body around 6:30 that morning. At a press conference, Officer David McCraney said, quote, "We had established protocols in place to ensure her safety. At some point during the investigation, she chose not to follow the instructions. She met Green and Bradshaw on her own. The meeting ultimately resulted in her murder."
This is a visual medium, so you did not see me just like roll my eyes onto the back of my head.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
audio medium. Wait, did I say that right? I said this
I
is not
don't,
a visual medium. You know
I don't
what?
even know
Either
now.
way, I rolled my eyes,
You know
okay?
what we mean. You missed the epic eye rolling is what we're getting at.
Yes.
So Rachel's parents and friends were shocked at how the media and police spoke about Rachel. Instead of taking responsibility for her death, they blamed her and called her a criminal. 2 months after Rachel's death, ABC News correspondent Brian Ross interviewed Police Chief Jones, and he said, quote, "I'm calling her a criminal. That's my job as a police chief, to find these criminals in our community and take them off the street to make the proper arrests." When Ross asked about the department's accountability in the situation, Chief Jones said, quote, "Do we feel responsible? We're responsible for the safety of this community."
Who was being safe by Rachel, quote unquote, not being on the street?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
She
These
she was helping
dangerous
her friends get
criminals.
some weed.
Yeah.
Weed that is now legalized in many states.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Weed that people understand is not as bad for you as any of these other drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the hardened criminals you're going after.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
So Green later confessed that he wasn't planning on actually selling Rachel the drugs. He was conning her. So he was going to give her a bag full of aspirin and then take off with her money. When investigators spoke to Green's wife after Rachel's body was found, she said he called her the night they murdered Rachel and said they found a wire in her purse and shot her. So if there was any doubt about why Rachel was murdered, I mean, they literally explained it.
Yeah, but my thing is like, okay, you think she has a wire, but you are claiming that you were going to con her anyway. Like what? Wouldn't be getting charged. Like, what would you get charged with? It wouldn't be as bad as freaking murder.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
I
this
don't
girl came to
know.
me wanting all this ecstasy pills, so I gave her aspirin.
Yeah.
What are you going to charge me with? That's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. I
Maybe if
mean,
you're conning her, I'm like, look,
yeah. I mean, he had the gun too, so I don't know,
yeah, he probably
you
was
know.
lying. He probably did have ecstasy about to
Yeah.
sell to her. But if that's your, you know, thought process, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Which I'm like, was he just suspicious of her from the beginning? So he's like, I'm going to, con her, whatever. And then like something happened. Like, I mean, because we don't know what those final moments look like. We have their
yeah,
word for
true.
it and that's it. So, I mean, did something else happen that I don't know. But
Yeah.
Rachel was found in her Grateful Dead sweatshirt and an orange and purple sleeping bag and had been shot 5 times in the chest and head with the gun that the police had sent her to buy. So, despite having been divorced for decades, Rachel's parents came together to advocate for increased protections for confidential informants to make sure that what happened to Rachel wouldn't happen to anyone else. A few weeks after Rachel's death, Irv started taking notes on the situation, and he wrote questions such as, why was Rachel used in such a high-risk police sting when she had no training, when she couldn't even find her own socks in the morning? Which is like such a parent thing to say, but it's like, what the hell do you
Mm-hmm.
mean with no training and just still such a like young naive person, you just send her off into this very high risk situation. Like it's a high risk situation for trained armed police officers who are going into
Mm-hmm.
this. There's a reason they are trained and armed when they work for the police department, but when you're a confidential informant who is being coerced into doing this to get rid of drug charges, then you can just be sent on by yourself and that's okay.
Yeah.
He also had questions like, why was she sent to buy a semi-automatic pistol when she had never even fired a weapon? Like, what would she do if they gave it to her and she didn't know what to do with it? And that made them suspicious that she was
Mm-hmm.
not who she said she was. Like, what? And also, why was she pressured into taking part in the operation before she consulted a lawyer? So Rachel's family knew they wanted to push for legislative reform to prevent what happened to Rachel from happening to someone else.
An attorney named Lance Block agreed to represent Rachel's family in a civil suit against the city, and it led to the push for Rachel's law pro bono. During his research, he found that most of the legal work around confidential informants was finding ways to impeach them, not ways to protect them. So many civil liberties groups had pursued the issue before because of jailhouse informants' false accusations, and he soon began drafting Rachel's law, which would include the following. All confidential informants should be given the right to counsel, which is the Miranda and Sixth Amendment rights often don't apply to informants because they may not be formally arrested or charged with a crime. Juveniles should be banned from being confidential informants altogether. And there should be an offensive parity, meaning nonviolent, low-level drug offenders should not be used to trap higher-level offenders with a violent history, and that anyone in a drug treatment program shouldn't be used as a confidential informant at all. Because it really is just like taking advantage of people who are in a vulnerable position. Like you're
Yes.
blackmailing them into doing your job for free.
Yeah, and especially, like with the offense parity, it's like when there's such a like vast difference between what they're being charged with and the crimes that they are like being asked to instigate.
Yeah. So in August, a grand jury indicted both Green and Bradshaw and issued a scathing condemnation of the police department's conduct, which is unheard of. So Andrea Green and Danelio Bradshaw are both serving life sentences for Rachel's murder, and part of the grand jury's declaration read, letting a young, immature woman get into a car by herself with $15,000 to go off and meet two convicted felons that they knew were bringing at least one firearm with them was an unconscionable decision that cost Miss Hoffman her life. Less than 15 minutes after she drove away from the offices of the Tallahassee Police Department, she drove out of the sight of the officers who assured her they would be right on top of her, watching her and listening the whole time. She cried out for help as she was shot and killed, and nobody was there to hear her.
Which I'm so glad that they like fully addressed like you are to
Mm-hmm.
blame in this situation.
Yeah. Finally, the police department began to acknowledge the mistakes they made. An internal affairs investigation revealed the police officers had committed at least 21 violations of nine separate policies in Rachel's case.
Like, could you be any worse at your job?
And then,
Any
especially
worse?
after the fact that that guy was just like, we did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We did nothing
Yeah.
wrong.
Yep. And still defending yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Chief Dennis Jones finally admitted it was wrong to blame the victim and said he didn't think there were so many policies not being followed, which you cannot be chief of police if you don't know the damn policies.
Right. Like, get your head out of your ass and know that what
Yeah.
you're talking about before you're going to go up there and defend people.
So, State Senator Mike Fasno and Representative Peter Nair agreed to sponsor Rachel's Law, but the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Florida Sheriff's Association, and other groups lobbied against the law. Just, just
Are we
piggies
surprised?
being pigs.
Right.
Who said that? Who said that? Our third co-host just came in.
Our
Um,
audio just got hacked.
I don't know. Yeah, Russia hacked our audio. I don't know what happened. Um, Vice cops argued that not allowing juveniles to be used as confidential informants would mean they would no longer be able to track juveniles committing adult crimes. And they said increased record keeping to protect them would only increase the risk of their identities being disclosed. Okay.
Maybe do your job better and just
Yeah.
not reveal their identity. Did you think about that?
Maybe invest in some community programs that keep juveniles from committing crimes and
Hmm.
getting like brought into things anyway. Anyway,
We could
um
go on a lot of soapboxes in this
I
episode.
really
A
could.
lot.
So Brian Sally of BBS Narcotics Enforcement Training and Consulting said there's no such thing as training an informant. He said you direct them what to do, and if they follow those directions, they will be safer, which is exactly what Rachel did. You lost her.
Hmm. Exactly.
He went on to say there's always a risk, but things usually go bad when they didn't do as they were told and that they get themselves hurt, not the officers.
Again, just victim
Yeah.
blaming again and again.
Hmm. So a compromise bill was proposed, but it removed an informant's right to legal counsel and the measure that excluded juveniles. However, the bill did require officers to undergo special training before using informants and to take into account a new recruit's age, emotional status, and the level of risk in a given operation. Because that's my thing. Like we were saying, like Rachel was a very low level. She had like a personal amount of drugs on her
Yeah,
and was told to be taken down like the drug lord of
exactly.
Tallahassee. I mean, I don't know if Andrea Green and Bradshaw were the drug lords, but
Clearly very
going after
different
different levels.
capacities here. Yes.
Yes. So I just, it's insane. Like, I would understand if like Andrea Green came in and they're like, if you help us take down your buddy, whatever, because you're on the same level. But being
Hmm.
like, you got some weed and some Valium on you. Go ask for 15,000 pills of ecstasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this revised bill passed both chambers of the Florida legislature unanimously, and Rachel's Law was signed into law on May 7th, 2009, the 1 year anniversary of Rachel's murder. It is the first law in the country to protect confidential informants. So Rachel's parents and their attorney hope other states will adopt this law as well. And from what we can find, at least North Dakota has adopted a similar law as well. So in 2012, Rachel's parents won a $2.6 million wrongful death settlement from the city of Tallahassee, along with a formal apology. Margie built a small memorial garden for Rachel outside her office window, and Irv often waters the flowers at Rachel's grave, trims up their stems, and sits beside her memorial bench to read. Rachel Hoffman isn't the only person to lose her life by helping the police. In Vancouver, Washington, 26-year-old Jeremy McLean found himself in a similar position as Rachel. Jeremy loved going antiquing with his mom as a child and attended a local Christian school with his little sister. He was a weightlifter and wrestler in high school, and his dad got him a job in construction after he graduated. He hurt his back and had to take painkillers and quickly became addicted. In 2006, he agreed to sell 8 methadone pills to a friend, and he later found out that friend was wearing a wire. The friend had his own drug charges and was attempting to have them lessened by assisting the police as a confidential informant. According to Jeremy's dad, Mitchell, a federally funded narcotics task force told Jeremy he could sit down and make a deal with him, or he could go upstairs, get a lawyer, and get, quote, ready to get ass rammed in prison.
Which is so disgusting and also unsurprising, unfortunately, that
Yeah.
someone in that position would say such a thing.
I mean, it's even to the thing that it's like illegal to lie to the police, but the police can lie to you. And like, obviously, I
Yep.
understand that to an extent because like the police want to come in and be like, hey, your buddy in the other room's talking and get people to confess. Obviously, I understand you use it for that. But like, for this is insane that you can like bully people like this.
Yeah.
So Jeremy signed a contract to make purchases of controlled substances from 4 individuals, and in return, his drug charges would be reduced with a recommendation of no jail time. Jeremy set up at least 5 local drug suspects using a hidden camera in his baseball cap. His parents said he was told that he needed to keep going because those crimes had led to plea deals instead of convictions, although that was not listed as a stipulation in his contract. Like, you're still, quote unquote, getting these people, like, off, not off the street, but like consequences.
Like you've fulfilled your obligation of like getting them caught. You're not responsible for the criminal justice system and whether or not someone gets convicted. Like there are so many
Hmm.
components that go into someone being convicted.
Yeah. Overall, Jeremy participated in more than a dozen drug operations in an attempt to work off his drug charges. His 14th undercover operation led to the arrest of a heroin trafficker named William Vance Reagan. He spent only a day in jail before being released on bail, and a week later, he called Jeremy's mom, Shelly, and told her to tell her son that he's out of jail and he should watch his back. Jeremy told his police handler, but they told him, don't worry about it. Reagan's harmless. Reagan's friends also started calling Jeremy and his family and warning him. Jeremy was living with his parents at this point and trying to lay low, and he covered the half moon window above their door with a towel and made sure there was no other place that someone could see into the house. Jeremy hid like this for months in his parents' house. Eventually, his dad Mitchell went to the police station and told them if anything happened to his son, it would be on their hands. And they told him the guys Jeremy busted were small fries, just low-life drug runners, and not the murdering type. Which, again, it's like, again, he's a part of like 14 undercover operations. Like, these people know who you are, like
Exactly.
how you were getting caught. Like,
Yeah.
anyway. On December 29th, 2008, Jeremy left to go buy some milk and never came home. Reagan had paid a friend to kidnap Jeremy and take him to a nearby motorhome where Reagan himself was waiting with a 22 caliber pistol. He shot Jeremy 3 times in the back of the head and then once in the face. His body was found 2 days later in the Columbia River. At his trial, Reagan said he had done the world a favor by eliminating a snitch. William Vance Reagan pleaded guilty to Jeremy's murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Mitchell and Shelly McLean sued the police department in 2011, saying that the Regional Drug Task Force and the agents handling Jeremy's case showed deliberate indifference to an obvious danger, and said police departments in the cities of Longview and Kelso, who were also involved in Jeremy's undercover operations, had failed to create appropriate procedures and regulations concerning the recruitment, training, retention, and protection of confidential informants. The McLeans won a $375,000 settlement from the four law enforcement agencies that were involved, but they would still not admit to any wrongdoing, even though Jeremy and his parents went to them multiple times saying it. And Reagan did
Mm-hmm.
not do this secretly. He even called them saying, "Hey, watch your back." The friends were calling, "Hey, watch your back." Like they
Yeah.
knew this was coming and they did nothing to protect him.
Yeah, like this was not a surprise. Like they had several warnings, like he knew his life was in danger and they just dismissed him. And then even after you're awarded this settlement, you're like, but I'm still not going to admit that we were in the wrong, which you know is also a very important part to the families.
Yeah. Confidential informants are disproportionately poor, Black, and Latino young men or women. In 2011, in Detroit, a transgender 19-year-old woman named Shelly Hilliard, who was called Treasure by her family, went to her mom's house to eat some mac and cheese. She didn't come back, and after a few days, her sister Michelle noticed their friends posting things like "Rest in peace, Shelly" and "She's with God now" on her Facebook page. Shelley loved dancing and singing, listening to Beyonce, doing her friends' hair and makeup, and taking photos with her friends. On October 23rd at around 4:30 a.m., a torso was found on fire beneath an old mattress on an I-94 service road. The torso was later identified as Shelley's, and the rest of her body, except for her hands, were found in March. At first, police thought this was a hate crime because Shelley was transgender, but soon they realized her death was connected to her work as a confidential informant for the police. Just just days before her death, Shelley and a friend had been caught by police smoking a joint on the balcony of a Motel 6 in a Detroit suburb. Police raided the room and found a sandwich bag with half an ounce of marijuana in the toilet tank. Police threatened Shelley with prison, and as a 19-year-old transgender woman, she would be sent to an adult male prison, which again is another added layer of, I'm sure, a lot of fear mongering and a lot of fear for her because that is
Yeah.
a tough situation.
Like, what other choice do you feel like you have in this situation? Like, you are a 19-year-old transgender woman and you think you're going to prison at an adult male prison unless you
Hmm.
do what the police are asking of you. Like, it's kind of a no-brainer for you. Like,
Yeah, it feels like there are no other options.
yeah,
Then they told her she could set up her dealer, Quasim Rakib, and she would have all charges dropped. And obviously, Shelley agreed. Like we said, seems like a no-brainer because you're like, yeah, of course, I have
yeah.
no other option. They told Shelley to call Rakib and ask for more marijuana to be brought to her hotel room. Police were waiting for Rahib to pull into the parking lot and they pulled him over and searched his car. He and his friend Marquita Clark were both charged with possession with intent to distribute. So Rakib was arrested, and while he was being interviewed by police, they told him they used a lady at the Motel 6 to set him up. Which I'm like, shouldn't this be part of confidential informants that you don't reveal what you're doing?
It, th that's the confidential part of the whole thing.
Confidential. Yeah, it's in the title. So obviously, Shelley was the only one who called and asked for more marijuana at that location, so it's obvious who set him up. Rakib was released several hours later, and he tracked Shelley down just a few days later with the help of another man named James Matthews. They lured her to a house under the premise of someone wanting to go on a date with her, and a cab driver that frequently drove Shelley dropped her off at the house at approximately 1:20 a.m. She was wearing a silver party dress for what she thought was a date. Shelley saw Rakid and Matthews waiting for her, and she became concerned and asked the cab driver to stay on the phone with her as he drove away. As he drove away, he heard Shelley say, "What are you doing?" and "No," and then her phone fell out of her hand and went dead. The cab driver turned around, but Shelley and the two men were gone. Rakid and Matthews took Shelley to an abandoned house where they were where they strangled, mutilated, burned, and dismembered her. It's believed they cut off her hands because she scratched them and they wanted to avoid her DNA being found. It's also believed they burned down the house where they killed Shelley to conceal any evidence. Both men Both men pleaded guilty to Shelley's murder, and one witness identified in court that the police had revealed Shelley's identity to Rakid. He was sentenced to at least 25 years in prison, and we can't really find anything about James Matthews' sentence. So he did plead guilty, but we don't know what he was sentenced to. Her family received $1 million settlement because revealing Shelley's identity showed deliberate indifference for her safety. So. Which makes me again feel sorry for Jeremy's family because I'm like, why did they only get $375,000? And
Right?
not really, I mean, I don't know if Shelly's family got like an apology, but I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do you mean? What do you mean? Um, so this is the murders of Rachel Hoffman, Jeremy McLean, and Shelly Treasure Hilliard, who all died in their roles as police confidential informants with no training or protection.
And who knows how many others have been in this same situation and how many others don't have families who have the capacity and ability to advocate for them in the same
Mm-hmm.
way because obviously these three cases like all of their families like stood up for what was right and like pushed back and like really took the time to say this was wrong, this is what needs to happen, like no, you need to be held accountable for this situation. And how many times does this happen to people who just don't have the ability to do that, and so we don't even
Mm-hmm.
hear about those cases.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, how many times are they going after like people who are heavy in addiction, kind of like Jeremy was a little bit, um, but maybe people who don't have their family support, people
Yeah,
who,
exactly.
don't feel like they can tell people. And then if something happens to them, the police aren't going to come forward and say, yeah, they were our confidential informant and they died.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
especially like if you don't tell anyone in your life that you are a confidential informant, then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, why were the police going to reveal that?
Yeah, exactly. Like we'll just keep
But
this to ourselves and not bring it up. And yeah,
yeah,
just such a sad situation. And several that I had not heard of. And
I had heard of Rachel's story from a
mm,
podcast, I believe, but I had not heard Jeremy or Shelley's.
yeah, I heard Rachel's story recently on a podcast, and I think we talked about this. Maybe it was in our Patreon episode, but I had originally planned to cover that for Patreon because we like to do like how different laws came to be or whatever. And then I was like, oh, this is a very like there's a lot to this. And then I found, a couple of
Mm-hmm.
other people that I wanted to talk about as well that unfortunately I couldn't find enough information about Jeremy and Shelly or Treasure for them to like have their own episode. So I kind of wanted to add them to this one to tell
Mm-hmm.
their stories as well since they are similar situations. But yeah, that's kind of how this one came to be, but just really sad that there are such limited protections. And like we talked about earlier, like different civil liberty groups have fought against confidential informants because like they can lie and then someone who like basically, like the jailhouse informant, they're like, oh, well, you
Mm-hmm.
told on someone else to get yourself a better sentence and what you told isn't even true. Like that's what they're trying to get rid of this for. And no one is thinking of like the protections for the confidential informants who find themselves unwillingly in this situation.
Yeah. And it's again not victim blaming on any three of our victims, but always ask for a lawyer,
Yeah.
talk to a lawyer, figure it out. Like, don't let the police bully you into
Hmm.
anything.
Which, and I get that's hard too because like if you have not been arrested, are you even
Yeah,
entitled to a lawyer? Like, do you get
that's so true.
are you going to
Yeah, you
get
get
that like
so
state funded
intimidated.
attorney? Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's difficult.
Yeah.
But
It's,
yeah, just be wary of the police, y'all. Say, come back with a warrant,
yeah.
charge me with something then.
And they're also young and it's like you also
Hmm.
don't know these things at that age. Like
No.
that's just not common knowledge or something that your parents think they should have to teach you, but it's like maybe that is something that we need to be teaching kids and teenagers, you know?
We were just talking about that, like, um, you know, with like my niece and nephew, because it's like you kind of are supposed to like teach kids to like trust the police, but like
Yeah.
you can't always, and people can pretend to be police. So then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, don't open the door for a police officer. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you teach them that? Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
you don't know like how to navigate that. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And like you don't want to like inherently teach them to fear all police, but you also want to teach them when to be cautious, you know, of police and
yeah,
other people in general. Yeah, it's a very loaded situation with
yeah,
no clear answers, to me at least. I don't know. Maybe someone else has the answers. If you do, let me know because I don't know.
yeah.
Well, now to transition to something a little bit lighter to end the week. Courtney, what is your perk of the week?
So my perk of the week is that yesterday I got back from attending my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law's wedding, and it was absolutely incredible. If you know me, I absolutely adore both of them. Sean and Nicole are two of my favorite people ever.
Hmm.
And then me and Nicole just keep being like, we're officially sisters. Like we're
Like
officially like
finally.
it's kind of been that way, but officially like
Yeah.
you know. So I adore both of them. I like sobbed through their whole wedding because I just
Hmm.
loved them both so much and I was just so happy to see them both so happy. So, um yeah, just an absolutely amazing wedding and I love celebrating their love and you know, another married couple down. I know she changed her name today to
Oh,
Nicole Ebert on Instagram and I
love
like took a
it.
picture and sent it in our group chat and was like 50 exclamation points and um it was just so weird like seeing Sean like wearing a wedding ring. I'm like, oh, that's so
Right.
weird to like see that. So, but I love it. So
Yeah.
very excited for them. They've been together a while. They're a great couple. So very happy. And I selfishly want Nicole around all the time. So I'm like, Sean, marry her
Right.
immediately.
Like make sure she
Do
sticks around,
not
okay? We don't want to lose her.
do not let her leave my life, please. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
is
sounded like
my. Oh, go ahead.
I say it sounded like a very beautiful wedding and a lot of fun.
Hmm. Yes, I don't think I left the dance floor. I was, and if anyone knows my husband, he doesn't really dance. And so some of the other groomsmen were like on the dance floor, and I was like, I'll dance with you. Like I was just dancing with everybody, like, hey, like whatever. Like
Having a good time.
I was making sure I was dragging everyone onto the dance floor. I'd like see someone and point and be like, come here, come here, come here, come here. You gotta get on
Everyone's
the
like,
dance
do
floor.
not make eye contact with Courtney. Everyone's like
I
drinking their
know.
drink. Like, I'm gonna look over here.
Yeah, one of the groomsmen who's like known, like Sean, Kevin, and Ryan for like years at this
Hmm.
point. Like they were friends in like middle school. Um, like turned to Kevin and was like, "Your wife keeps trying to get me on the dance floor," because like he would go to the bar and be like, "Colin, come here," and he's like, "I'll come back." Like, and I was like, kept pointing, be like, "You come here," like
He's like, I'll come back.
getting on this
Sneaks
dance floor.
outside.
Yeah, he was trying to sneak, but he was like, "Dude, your wife keeps trying to get me on the dance floor." But it was fun. But yeah, that was my perk of the week. It was beautiful. It was amazing and just so fun to celebrate them all weekend.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's my perk of the week. Jacqueline, what is your perk of the week?
So my perk of the week is not so much a perk, but a shout out. So I just want to give a shout out to what is now Dolly Parton Children's Hospital, but used to be East Tennessee Children's Hospital, because my 4-year-old fell at preschool this week and cut her chin open, and we had to go get stitches. And we were in and out in 90 minutes, which is amazing for an emergency room and stitches.
Yeah.
Like everyone there was just so sweet. She was so nervous about like they put like a lidocaine gel on her chin to numb it up and like the Band-Aid and stuff, and she like didn't know what the gel was, and so she was kind of like freaking out about it, and she's like, "Can I touch it?" And the nurse is like, "I mean, sure." And she let her like touch it and like was just so like patient and gave her the time, like instead of trying to be
Hmm.
like, "Okay, we got to get this done and move you on." Like she gave her all the time she needed to like be okay with her putting it on so that she would be calm and was okay with it. And of course, it's a children's hospital. Like they specifically work with children, but they're so good at what they do. Like you can clearly tell that like
Yeah.
that is their passion. So it's a very special hospital to me anyway, because my brother and my nephew like both spent a lot of time in the NICU, so like it's somewhere that like my mom was super passionate about and was like always donating money to. So it was just a really good experience,
Yeah.
as you know, the best experience you can have in that situation. So just wanted to
Yeah.
give a shout out to them. They were amazing, and it was also funny because later that day, Facebook reminded me that I also got stitches at Children's Hospital 22 years ago to the day that Billy did.
That is crazy.
It's like, oh, I cannot believe this right now.
Yeah.
So, like mother, like daughter, I guess.
Yeah, that's so funny. I also never thought about the fact, I'm like, oh my gosh, your mom would love the fact that it's Dolly Parton Children's Hospital
She,
now.
right? Like, just would absolutely be
I
amazed by
didn't even
that.
think about, yeah, she would be like, oh my God. Which is awesome. And I'm sure Dolly's like, here's a bunch of money.
Exactly. And like, please do. Like, they need it. Like, I mean,
Because it's
but
like the only children's hospital in like most of like East Tennessee. Like that's why it
yeah.
used to be East Tennessee because it's like the only one really.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. I mean, we were also there last month for my other child. So so I guess it's just a general, shout out to them. But she was having like some issues with her iron, and it's like we had to have some blood work done. And again, like they were amazing. Like doing a blood draw on a 1-year-old is not an easy feat, and like they did such a
hmm
good job. And they had like a playroom for her, like while we were waiting for the doctor and everything. And when like the lady was checking us in or whatever, she's like, "Oh, like did you guys have to travel far?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like a lot of people are like driving hours to come to this children's hospital." And
hmm
I'm like, "No, we live 15 minutes away, thankfully." Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're in the area and ever, questioning whether or not you should go to Children's Hospital, you should. They're
Yeah.
amazing. And if you have money,
We hope you
feel free
never
to give it
have
to
to
them.
be there.
Yes.
But yes, send your donations there and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So that is my not so much a perk because, it's never a great time, but a shout out to a wonderful
hmm
organization for making it the best that it can be. So, if you want to donate to us who are nowhere near as important as Children's Hospital,
We're not as important, but Jacqueline's got an ER bill to pay for
that
now.
is true. I've not seen that yet, so that'll be coming. Which, sorry, last story, but it was funny because like the tools he used to like do her stitches, he's like, "Oh, do you guys want to keep these?" Like, because he's like sometimes the kids like to play with them and like play doctor because like they're not sharp. But he's like they
Yeah.
can like play doctor or whatever. He's like we have to throw them away after each use, so if you want them, you can have them. But I was like, well, I'm paying for them, might as well. And then I was like, oh my God, that's something my dad would say. Like I just opened my mouth and my dad came out.
That is so funny. I mean, that's like when I was like in the hospital for my surgery and like I'd
hmm
started my periods, they had to get me pads and my mom was like, "You take them home.
Right? Take them
We're
all.
not
Take them
leaving them
all.
here. Take them home."
It's the same thing when you have a baby. They're like, anything that's in this room, put it in your suitcase and leave with it.
Yeah. I'm paying for it. I don't even
Yes.
know how much I paid for those pads, but
Right. $7 each.
probably. They were
Um,
good pads though. I wish I could buy them at the store.
they're the nice, like long ones that just like the whole,
Yes.
yeah, they cover every square inch. I mean, beautiful.
They were nice, but
But so yes, if you want to donate to my hospital bill, it is patreon.com/caffeinated crimes, where we have a whole bunch, over 60, probably getting close to 70 bonus episodes. We have some other fun perks. You can chat with us. You can get a pin, a sticker. You can talk to us on Discord. We have some old video episodes, which we should probably do some updated video episodes for you guys soon. If you
probably.
want that, let us know. If you want other things that we aren't thinking of, let us know. Send us your ideas. Happy to do what we can. Um, 5 stars on Spotify.
Apple.
Yes, Apple Podcast.
Like, subscribe on YouTube.
Yep, any of those things.
Nice comments only.
Yes, yes. You guys know. You guys know the drill. We do this every
You know
week.
the drill.
You
Yeah.
got it.
All the places, all the things, it's all in the show notes. But in the meantime, go have a cup of coffee.
And don't commit a crime.